Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Okay, so I have one quick question before we get started here. Who was here yesterday by a show of hands? Who came here today to learn about business? Who came here today to talk about lipstick? I just wanted to make that clear really quickly before I get started, okay? I wanted to make that really clear. Okay, so my name is Tiffany Matson. I'm the Business Development Manager for Futurepreneur Canada. I'm also an entrepreneur, and I am also a facilitator of a small group of women in Calgary called the Fearless Females. I want to talk to you a little bit today about being the CEO of yourself. Because above and beyond being the business development manager or running a small business or facilitating a small group of women, the thing that was the most transformational in my life was becoming the CEO of myself. Even though I work for somebody else, I'm going to tell you how I did it. So I got my head start in my career in human resources management. And I think yesterday there were a couple of other people in HR. So I worked a few years in human resources management before I took my first really professional job downtown Calgary. I thought I was really snazzy and special every day. I went to work in a pencil skirt and a blazer and high heels, and I worked my butt off. I reported directly to the COO of the company. I was negotiating contracts with software providers for applicant tracking system. Every single new hire that came to that company came through me in full cycle recruitment. I was responsible for the entire recruitment budget, but there was two small problems that I was dealing with working at that company. And the first was, my title was I was a recruitment coordinator. And if you work in human resources, you would know that if you are responsible for that massive, vast of responsibilities, you're not a recruitment coordinator. And you would be a manager of recruitment. And two, my second problem was that I was becoming really insecure as an employee. And I want to talk today a little bit about that, because the reason why I was becoming insecure as an employee was because I was seeing behind the scenes from a human resources perspective. So you would see the terminations taking place. I would be the person that was doing it a lot of the times, and it's not fun. And it would be wine Wednesdays, and I would be going out with the girls after work, mingling with other people, and they would say, "Oh, what do you do for work?" And I'd say, "Oh, I work in human resources." And they'd be like, "Oh, human resources, that's the worst." And I was like, you know, that's what I do for a living. It's not like I'm like, "Oh, data analytics, like that's awful." You know, it's what I do for a living. But I understand and I empathize with people when they don't like human resources. And the reason why is because we're the bearers of bad news, right? We're the people that go in there and terminate. But just to lift the veil for a second over your eyes is that human resources are never, 99.999% of the time, they're not the decision makers. It's coming from executive level employment. It's coming from economic stability or instability. It's coming maybe just from a personality clash. So we feel this loyalty towards companies that maybe they're not necessarily showing us. Like they're invested in us, of course, but they have a job description that is there. So if I get sick and I can't come to work or something really awful happens to me, they can replace my role. And I was starting to see this because I was seeing behind the scenes over and over. And so one day I looked at my job description and I realized that the job description is actually the vision of it's a wheel for the CEO. And for his goals to come true, he needs to put somebody in that position to fulfill that wheel. And I started to see my own experience on my resume. What am I doing every day of my life to help me to reach my career goals? Each of us have different career goals, and I've heard so many different stories. Some of us want more work-life balance. Some of us want more fulfillment. Some of us want more money. How do we achieve our goals? Every day, I am like I'm a contractor for my own company. Every day I make the choice to get into work, and I take that accountability back. And I say, I'm responsible for the job that I have. If I am not happy with my job, I'm the only person that can change it. So, I woke up this one morning, I was the CEO of me, I had a different change of heart. I get into the car and I'm sitting in traffic, I have my first team meeting with me, myself, and I. And I'm like, Tiffany, how is business going? Well, it's not going very good. Why? Because you're working for a company and you're not going to grow. If you stay with this company and you work as a recruitment manager, but you're known as a recruitment coordinator, how are you going to grow your career? Well, that's a very good point. And so I think we need to make some changes so that this company can grow. So I made the executive decision as the CEO of me to make a high-risk move, and I took a maternity leave contract, which meant that I was only there for a year, but I had a better title. 9 months into my employment there, my manager came to me and said, oh, by the way, I had less responsibilities, so I was like, this is a great move. But my manager came to me and said, Tiffany, we would love to have you stay, but the problem is we're gonna keep your title, but you're gonna have to do more administrative tasks because so-and-so is coming back into her position. And I said, administrative tasks? No, they're the worst. But she said, go to Mexico and think about it, because I was going on a vacation. So I was in Mexico, and you know what we were talking about yesterday when those dreams start popping up. And I knew that I wanted to start a business, a baby shoe business. And I was there with my mom, and she had earned the trip because she was in a direct marketing company. And I'm not one for direct marketing, but I like everything in life. I took the meat and I threw away the bone. And I was listening to this inspirational speech after inspirational speech, and I was so motivated. I came home after 1 week in Mexico, and it was about 3 o'clock in the morning. I was exhausted. The flight had landed. I come back to my condo. I'm alone. I'm single. And I'm burnt. I look like a lobster. Like I was sunburned. And I was saying to myself, what are you going to do? Are you going to start this company or not? That night, I put $2,000 on my credit card and I said, no, I'm moving forward. I'm going to start this business. And I bought $2,000 worth of product from overseas, baby shoes. And I was sure my credit card was going to be compromised. I was like, what did I just do? About 2 weeks later, I opened my front door and I see boxes upon boxes upon boxes of baby shoes. I was like, well, I guess I'm starting a business. And I started all of the branding and the design. I started building a website, and I was in it now. I was in it. And I still had 3 months left at this company. Went back to work, told my boss, well, I think I'll finish out the 3 months and I'm not going to stay on. And so I started doing different shows around Calgary. I was building this vendor. I was doing pop-up markets and different vendor shows, and I was making good money. But the next thing that happened was really interesting. My contract had come to an end, a year had gone by. And my big final show, my big reveal, was that I had purchased a tent to sell the baby shoes and baby cowboy boots for the Calgary Stampede on Stephen Avenue. That morning, I woke up. I put on my Levi's, I put on my vest, I put on my plaid, my cowgirl hat, and a big bandana. And I look on my Google Maps to see where I was going and realized that I had to set up my booth outside of the same company where I used to work as a recruitment coordinator.
Cool.
The fear that came over me was immense. I did not feel like a cowgirl, I felt like a cow clown. I used to dress up in a pencil skirt and high heel shoes, and now I was going to sell my baby shoes on the street. The term shaking in your boots has never been more true. So I showed up there that day, and of course, Karen from accounting comes trailing by, and I'm there. Hi, Karen, how are ya? And she's like, oh wow, what is this? You know, it's been a year since we've seen you. Is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, you know, this is my new company, and I wasn't feeling confident, I was full of fear. She was kind of, we know what she was like. Oh, she wasn't really supportive. She was kind of judgy. She ran away, and 2 minutes later, of course, the whole company comes out to see what's going on. And I'm dressed like a cowgirl, selling cowgirl shoes when I used to work as a recruitment coordinator. Yeah, I have to say, in this week that I worked there, I made more money than I had ever made working a month in that company. I was more proud of myself for facing my fear. That was a transitional day in my career. How I had to humble myself to put myself in that situation to grow. These are the kinds of fears that you need to face in order to succeed. Whether you have to be the CEO of yourself while you're working for an organization, if that means that you need to make a move in your career for a better work-life balance, for better compensation, for a better title, like I did in my case. Whether that means throwing everything out the window and finally starting that company, finally becoming an actual CEO of yourself and an entrepreneur. Those are the kind of things that are going to define your character. They're going to change your life. You're going to be more accountable for each day that you live. You are responsible to make the changes. I am responsible to make the changes in my life. So with Futurepreneur Canada, and getting into that and what we do, I was asked to speak today because we do offer a side hustle program. So our program is based towards if you're a stay-at-home mom, if you work 9 to 5, if you're just wanting to get into entrepreneurship on a part-time basis. So we offer free resources. We're a national nonprofit organization, by the way, so we're federally and provincially funded. We offer free resources to all Canadians. We offer financing between $5,000 and $60,000, and we offer free mentorship for 2 years. So it's a really unbelievable program. I think what I want to leave you with, a couple of quotes that I really love. One of them, I didn't write, and to be honest, it was author unknown, but it says, there's going to be times that the fear will not go away, so you're going to have to do it afraid. And 2, I want to see you guys shaking in your boots. I want to see you afraid. I want to see you face it and overcome it, because it's going to grow you as a human, as a woman, as a leader. And that I also want to tell you that 3 months later, a director who had seen me and seen my shoes and saw what I had built came up to me and asked me to go for lunch. And he said, explain your business model to me. And when I did, he said, if you want to take this company to the next level, I will invest in your business. And so you never know from what opportunity, when you're selling baby shoes on the street in front of all of your old colleagues, what types of connections are going to be made. There's going to be the people, there's always going to be Karens from accounting. There's always going to be out there. We need to start lifting each other up, but guess what? Some Karens from accounting are here to stay, and so we just need to push forward anyways, because when the rest of the people came out, there were some of them that supported me, and they were proud of me, and that's what you cling to. Thank you so much.